Shadows deepened outside Anna's old house. The November wind howled through the bare tree branches, scratching at the windows like skeletal fingers. She sat in an armchair by the crackling fireplace, trying to read a book, but the letters blurred before her eyes. The events of recent days had left her restless. First the strange sounds at night, then the inexplicable smell of decay that came and went, and finally, the disappearance of her old cat, Archie. He had always returned home by evening, but there had been no sign of him for 3 days now. The town where Anna lived had seemed almost dead lately. Neighbors rarely emerged from their homes, and when she did encounter them on the street, they appeared lost, detached. Old Mrs. Davis from across the street had even stopped tending to her beloved roses, which she had always taken such pride in. Now her garden had transformed into a flower cemetery, dried stems reaching toward the sky like crooked fingers. But worst of all were the birds, or rather, their absence. For the past week, Anna hadn't heard a single bird cry. Even the crows that usually circled above the old cemetery had vanished. The animals seemed to sense something so unnatural that the very air felt poisoned. The first knock came around midnight, quiet but insistent. Tap, tap, tap on the glass. Anna froze, listening. Just a branch, she tried to reassure herself, though she knew perfectly well the nearest tree was 3 meters from the window. Besides, this sound was too deliberate, as if someone was purposefully testing the strength of the glass. She remembered a conversation she'd overheard that morning at the store. 2 women were whispering about strange occurrences at the town cemetery. They said the gravedigger had noticed several disturbed graves, but there were no signs of vandalism. It looked as if someone had climbed out from within. And yesterday, little Sveta from the neighboring building had gone missing. Her parents searched frantically for her all day, until they found her at her recently deceased grandmother's grave. The girl sat by the headstone, mumbling something. When they brought her home, she only repeated, "Grandmother was calling. Grandmother wanted to hug." The knock repeated, this time from another side of the house. And again, now at the kitchen window. They seemed to be searching for a way inside, methodically checking every window, every crack in the walls. There was a horrifying intelligence in this persistence. These weren't mindless creatures, but hunters stalking their prey. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door, not like the window knocks, but human-like. 3 distinct raps. "Anna, please open up!" Mrs. Davis's voice sounded almost normal, except for a strange rasping quality. "I'm so lonely. Let's have tea together, like we used to." Anna felt her blood run cold. She knew for certain that Mrs. Davis couldn't be standing outside. Just yesterday she had seen the obituary in the local paper. The old woman had died in her sleep 3 days ago. "Mom, let me in." A new voice made her heart stop. It was Joe's voice, her son who had died 2 years ago in a car accident. "I'm cold, Mom. So cold." Anna slowly rose from her chair, moving against her will toward the door. Her mind screamed of danger, but her heart was breaking with longing for her son. Her hand reached for the lock. Meow! The sudden sound made her jump back from the door. Archie, he was alive. The sound came from the backyard, and without thinking, Anna rushed to the back door. Maternal instinct took over. She had to save at least the cat, since she couldn't save her son. The bolt on the back door yielded easily. Cold air rushed into the house, bringing with it the smell of damp earth and decay. In the darkness of the yard, she saw her cat's familiar silhouette. "Archie, come here," she called. The cat turned slowly, and in the moonlight, she saw its face, or what remained of it. Empty eye sockets, tufts of fur through which bones showed. A gaping maw with blackened teeth. Anna backed away, but it was too late. The open door became an invitation, not just for the dead cat, but for all the others. They poured into the house in a stream of decaying flesh and bones. She recognized their faces. Mrs. Davis with cheeks as withered as her roses. Old Mr. Miller, now even more hunched, with vertebrae protruding through his skin. Little Sveta, holding her dead grandmother's hand. And leading them all, Misha, her boy, with the same smile, only now his teeth showed through his cheeks. "Don't be afraid, Mom," he rasped, reaching out with blackened hands. "Now we'll be together again. Forever." In the darkness of the house came the wet sound of footsteps, dozens of dead feet shuffling across the floor, leaving trails of earth and decay. Somewhere upstairs, floorboards creaked. They were already climbing the stairs. From the basement came the sound of scratching claws. More and more of the dead were finding their way into the house through every crack, every open door. Anna looked at her son's approaching face and understood. She had let them in herself, not because she was foolish or careless, but because love and longing prove stronger than fear and reason. After all, isn't this what everyone who has lost loved ones dreams of? To be together again? The last thing she felt before the cold hands closed around her neck was the smell of damp earth and a strange relief. She no longer had to fear loneliness, no longer had to wake up in an empty house. Now, she would always be with those she loved. A week later, neighbors noticed that the lights in Anna's house had gone out. And if someone had looked through the windows late at night, they might have seen dark figures wandering through the rooms as if searching for something or someone. For the dead always want to share their final gift, eternity.